Hi, welcome to this podcast about finding the equation and domain of a composite function algebraically. So I've got these two functions f of x and g of x, and I want to do a composition of these two functions. I'm going to use f of g of x, which remember is different from g of f of x, but this is the way we're doing it. So I'm going to do this all algebraically, and when I write this using functional notation, I'm going to start writing the function f because that's on the outside. And what I see there is a 1/2. So I write that down. Then I see an x. And whenever I see an x in a function, I look inside the argument of f and figure out what's there. What am I supposed to put in for x? Is it a number? Well, in this case, it's not a number. It is a whole function, g of x. So I replace x with negative 2x plus 8 because that is g of x. And then I keep on writing f plus 1. And then I see a comma. I'm going to write the comma down. And then I see a negative 2. I keep on writing this function down because this restricted domain is actually part of that function f. So now I see an x. When I see an x, what am I supposed to put in for it? G of x. So I put in g of x again here and got that. So that's my function. I'm going to do some simplifying now. So the equation's pretty easy. I distribute the 1/2. I get negative x plus 4 plus 1 equals negative x plus 5. So that's the equation part of f of g of x. That's great. Got that. Was pretty easy. And now I'm going to do the inequality part. Now that's also stuff from Algebra 1. You subtract 8, you get negative 10 divided by negative 2x divided by is less than or equal to negative 2. And now we're dividing by a negative, so remember from algebra that you switch the signs. I always do that first to make sure I do it. I'm dividing by a negative. 10 divided by negative 2 is 5x, and negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. So I have that inequality. X is between, I'm going to turn it around, x is between 1 and 5. But that is not actually the whole story about the domain, because how do I get into this g of x in the first place? I have to satisfy this inequality to even enter into negative 2x plus 8. So we really have to consider this thing that we found algebraically, that x is between 1 and 5, and how do I get into g in the first place, and x is between 3 and 7. Okay, what I always do is I draw myself just a real simple little number line here. Here's 1, here's 5, and that's this inequality. And here's 3, and here's 7, and here's that inequality. And I want the stuff in between. That's an and, so it's the intersection of those things. So my actual domain for this thing is x is between 3 and 5. So x is between 3 and 5. So there's a couple things here that I think are really helpful. As you write down f of g of x, write down the whole thing, including this part. Solve it algebraically. But remember, how do you get into g of x in the first place? There's two reasons that f of g of x could be undefined. One reason is you don't have a number that fits in to g of x in the first place. You can't even get started. You can't unlock the box that's g of x. The other reason you can't do f of g of x might be because the output from that, the negative 2x plus 8 part, isn't between negative 2 and 6. So those are two reasons, and that's reflected by these two different inequalities that we're considering at the end, which is these two down here. So not too hard if you do it systematically like that, and that's it. So hope this works for you.